one and all, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we're going to check out the brand new Paradise Guitar Studio Amp Sim plugin from Universal Audio. When it comes to amp sims, I think some of my most used amp sims when it comes to mixing, production, or layering guitars for me personally is Universal Audio stuff, because I can get classic tones really quickly and on the go, specifically with the Lion and the Ruby guitar amp sims. I really love those. Well, Universal Audio is combining 6 of their best amp sim plugins under one housing, and we're going to be checking out the Paradise Guitar Studio Amp Sim from Universal Audio. And before we go any further, this video is brought to you by the fine folks over at Universal Audio and Sweetwater. Sweetwater has all of the things that you could possibly want from Universal Audio, whether that is Apollo interfaces, Volt interfaces, guitar amp sims, Molly mics, and more. I will link down below in the description if you'd like to know more information about anything you see in this video. However, all thoughts and opinions are still mine. So the Paradise Guitar Studio is a culmination and a combination of basically their greatest guitar tone goodies that they've been giving us over the last couple of years under one housing, all right? So to that end, we have 6 legendary amp models, including the Enigmatic, the Ruby, the Dream, the Lion, Woodrow, and Showtime amps. And then we get a bunch of complementary cabinets along with those amp models. Now I wanna point out, each cabinet is basically its idealized version, all right? So you can't go in and surgically move around mics. It's idealized mic positions for each of the cabinet models. Now, in addition to the 6 amp models and the 35 cab and mic pairings, we also get 19 authentic stomp boxes, including classic overdrives, fuzz, chorus, modulation, delay, reverb effects. It's, if it's a stomp box, it's probably in there. And lastly, there's also 7 legendary studio effects as well, including Universal Audio's legendary 1176. There's a tape delay, studio reverb, EQ, modulation, and more. All right, so let's check out the Paradise Guitar Studio plugin. I have my Paul Reed Smith Custom 22 in my lap. I'm just gonna kind of show you around the plugin first, and then we're going to go through some of the 200 factory presets. We're not gonna hit all of them. We're gonna hit some of them though, and they sound awesome. All right, so first at the top, we have a tuner, which is a great tuner, by the way. We have our patch name. We have our tempo, basically click track if you wanted, a metronome, and input mode, all right? So we can engage in stereo, which we are currently in right now. On the input side, we have an input trim. We also have a noise gate, very handy. We have our pre-effects module, we have our amp and cab module, and then we have our post effects module. And on our output, we have an output trim, of course, and then we actually have an output limiter as well, which is really nice. Down here is where all the business happens. We have our amp on the left and our cab and mics on the right. Now with our amp, we simply click on the name and we can select between any of the 6 amplifiers. On the cab and mics, we can click the name and we can either look at all of them at once. We can sort by 112, 212, and 412. And I want to note that the cab models are idealized versions of themselves, right? So you can't deep dive and like move the mic around on the cab or anything like that, all right? So I suspect these are probably the cabs from the aux box, also from Universal Audio, and I'm a huge fan of that unit, and these sound great. So no problem there. And then at the bottom, you always have the amp controls, no matter what view you're on, all right? So if I go into my pre-effects and I'm on my pedal board, I can still see my amp, all right? Does that make sense? So for example, if I am in my phaser, but I want to adjust my amp, I can just do that right away. I don't really have to back out of it and get back into the amp, right? So I think that's a massive benefit and great design by Universal Audio. If it's a multi-input like this, you just click on your input with the mouse and you can cycle through the different kinds of inputs, right? Now, as far as the amps go, all the vintage flavors are here. And I like that there's a description on the bottom to just kind of help you out. All right, so for an example, let's turn this off. And by the way, any of these controls, I can start controlling the effect right here, okay? So I don't have to select, get out of it, and then tweak right here. I can just be right here and tweak right away. And I love that about this plugin. All right, so if I don't want the reverb, let's say I want a multi-chorus. Okay. Let's go to the Dream. Let's change the cab around. Why not? You get the idea, all right? This is very intuitive and streamlined, and I feel like you are able to get to sounds quickly with the layout of this plugin. Let's go through some of the presets. 80s hair snakes. Or Voxy flavor like that. All right now. All right now. I want to play Corrosion and Conformity right there. So let's say I wanted to add a boost to this, all right? Let's go. Here's our overdrive. Great. And then our post effects, let's say instead of this 1176, I want to go for some delay. Let's go for some digital delay. go for some reverb. More presets. And that is the Paradise Guitar Studio from Universal Audio. So what do I think? Honestly, so sick, and I can't believe it's taken them this long to do a plugin like this. Now, I have all of the individual amp sims, like the Ruby and the Lion and the Showtime. However, having them all under one umbrella is really, really nice. I like the bells and whistles, and I like the utilitarian features such as the output limiter. Bravo, Universal Audio. If you would like to know more information on the Paradise Guitar Studio plugin, I will link down below in the description. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.